My name is Marcus Chin. I'm 38 years old, and until 6 months ago, I was the Senior Director of Business Development at Titan Core Industries, a mid-sized manufacturing company in Cleveland, Ohio. I had spent 12 years building that department from the ground up. 12 years of 60-hour weeks, missed birthdays, canceled vacations, and endless nights reviewing contracts and proposals. I had transformed a struggling division that was hemorrhaging money into the most profitable arm of the entire company, bringing in $43 million in new business over the last 3 years alone. I wasn't just good at my job, I was exceptional. My team of 15 people respected me, clients specifically requested to work with me, and I had documented proof that my division's revenue had increased by 340% since I took over as director. I had an MBA from Cornell, industry certifications that took years to obtain, and a track record that spoke for itself. When the VP of Operations position opened up in March of 2024, everyone knew it was mine. The role had essentially been created with my career trajectory in mind. Even Richard Hastings, our CEO, had pulled me aside at the Christmas party and told me, "Marcus, you've earned this. We'll make it official after Q1 closes." I believed him. That was my first mistake. My wife Sarah and I had already started planning how the promotion would change our lives. The VP position came with a $185,000 salary, nearly $50,000 more than I was making. We could finally afford the down payment on the house we'd been saving for in Shaker Heights, the good school district for our 2 kids. Emma was 7 and Daniel was 5, and Sarah had been working part-time as a nurse to help with expenses while also managing most of the childcare. This promotion meant she could cut back her hours, spend more time with the kids, and I could finally breathe a little easier about our financial future. I remember the exact moment everything changed. It was April 15th, 2024, a Monday morning at 9:47 a.m. I was in my office reviewing a proposal for a potential $12 million contract with an automotive supplier when my email pinged. The subject line read, "Organizational announcement, leadership changes." My heart jumped. This was it. The official announcement. I opened the email with a smile already forming on my face. "Dear Titan Core team," it began. "We are pleased to announce that Brandon Hastings will be joining our executive leadership team as the new Vice President of Operations, effective immediately. Brandon brings fresh perspectives and innovative thinking to this role. Please join us in welcoming him to the team." Brandon Hastings, the CEO's nephew, 26 years old with an undergraduate degree from a third-tier state school and exactly 18 months of work experience, all of it at his uncle's company. He had been hired as a Special Projects Coordinator the previous year, a made-up title that meant he sat in meetings, contributed nothing, and collected a paycheck. I had been in enough of those meetings to know that Brandon couldn't tell the difference between a profit margin and a profit center. The kid spent most of his time taking personal calls and leaving early for networking events that were really just bar crawls with his fraternity brothers. I read the email 3 times, certain I was misunderstanding. Then I read it a 4th time. There was no mistake. They had given my promotion, the position I had earned through a decade of blood, sweat, and sacrifice, to a 26-year-old nepotism case who couldn't find his ass with both hands and a map. Sat there in my office, my hands shaking with rage. The proposal in front of me blurred as my vision went red. I had given this company everything. I had missed Emma's first piano recital because I was closing a deal in Detroit. I had worked through Daniel's 5th birthday party on my laptop because a client needed revisions. I had sacrificed time with my family, my health, my peace of mind, all for a company that just told me I wasn't worth promoting because the boss's nephew needed a fancy title. At 10:15 a.m., my desk phone rang. It was Richard Hastings' assistant, asking me to come to his office. I walked down the hallway to the executive wing, my jaw clenched so tight I thought my teeth might crack. Richard sat behind his massive oak desk, looking uncomfortable. Brandon was there too, slouched in one of the leather chairs, scrolling through his phone. "Marcus, come in, sit down," Richard said, gesturing to the empty chair. "I wanted to talk to you about the announcement." I remained standing. "I thought we had an agreement, Richard. You told me that position was mine." He had the decency to look ashamed, but only for a moment. "Things changed, Marcus. The board felt we needed to go in a different direction. Brandon here has some innovative ideas about modernizing our approach." "Innovative ideas?" I couldn't help the laugh that escaped. "Richard, he's been here 18 months and hasn't successfully completed a single project. I've brought in $43 million in new business. What exactly has Brandon brought to this company besides his last name? Brandon finally looked up from his phone, a smirk on his face. Hey man, no hard feelings, right? You'll still be running your department. This is just about bringing in fresh blood at the executive level. Fresh blood. This overgrown child who had everything handed to him on a silver platter was talking to me about fresh blood. Richard cleared his throat. Marcus, you're a valued member of this team. We're hoping you'll stay on and support Brandon as he transitions into this role. In fact, we'd like you to spend the next month training him on the operational aspects of the business development side. And there it was. They wanted me to train my own replacement. Not even my replacement. This wasn't a replacement situation. This was a humiliation. They wanted me to teach the CEO's nephew how to do aspects of a job he was never qualified for in the first place. A job that should have been mine. I need to think about this, I said, my voice carefully controlled. Take the day, Richard said. But Marcus, I'm counting on you to be a team player here. I walked out of that office knowing that my career at Titancore was over. The only question was how it would end. I could quit in righteous anger, storm out and give them the finger on my way to the parking lot. It would feel good for about 5 minutes, and then I'd be unemployed with a mortgage and 2 kids to feed. Or I could stay, swallow my pride, and watch Brandon Hastings bumble his way through a job he didn't deserve while taking credit for my work. Neither option was acceptable. That night, I sat at my kitchen table with Sarah after the kids were in bed. I told her everything. She was furious, ready to march into Richard's office herself and give him a piece of her mind. But as we talked, something else emerged. Sarah knew me well enough to recognize the look in my eyes. This wasn't grief or resignation. This was calculation. What are you thinking? She asked. I'm thinking that they made a very stupid mistake, I said. They just handed executive authority to someone who doesn't know what he's doing. And they asked me to train him, which means I'll have access to everything. Financial data, client relationships, strategic plans, all of it. Marcus, don't do anything that'll get you in legal trouble. I won't. But I also won't go quietly. They want me to be a team player? Fine. I'll play the game. And when I'm done, they'll understand exactly what they lost. If you enjoy stories of cold-blooded revenge and gripping plot twists, like this video and subscribe to the channel now. There are brand new unreleased stories here every day, each one more intense than the last. The next morning, I walked into Richard's office at 8 a.m. sharp. I told him I'd thought about it, and I was committed to being a team player. I would train Brandon and support the transition. Richard actually looked relieved, like he'd been expecting a resignation. He shook my hand and thanked me for my professionalism. What Richard didn't know was that I had spent the entire night researching employment law, non-compete clauses, and corporate espionage statutes. I knew exactly what I could and couldn't do. I also knew something that Richard had apparently forgotten. My department wasn't just me. It was 15 highly skilled professionals who I had personally recruited and trained over the years. People who were loyal to me, not to Titancore. My plan started forming in layers. First, I needed to understand exactly how bad Brandon was at his new job. That took about a week. I was supposed to be training him, but Brandon rarely showed up for our scheduled meetings. When he did, he spent most of the time talking about his weekend plans or asking me to just handle whatever issue had come up. He had zero interest in learning the actual work. He just wanted the title and the salary. By the end of April, I had documented 17 instances of Brandon making critical errors or failing to respond to client communications. I kept meticulous records, forwarding myself emails and saving screenshots. I watched as he botched a negotiation with a potential client in Pittsburgh, offering terms that would have actually lost us money. I had to step in and fix it, and the client specifically told me they would have walked away if they'd had to deal with Brandon exclusively. Thank God you're still here, Marcus, the client said on a call. We were worried when we heard about the leadership change. That client's comment gave me an idea. I started having quiet, confidential conversations with our top clients. Nothing unprofessional, just checking in, maintaining relationships. And in those conversations I'd mentioned casually that there were some transitions happening at Titan Core, and I wanted to ensure continuity of service. Several clients expressed concern. A few asked me directly if I was planning to leave the company. I'm not sure yet, I tell them honestly. But whatever happens, I want to make sure you're taken care of. I planted seeds. That's all it was at first. Just seeds. In early May, I had lunch with David Rodriguez, my most senior account manager. David was 34, brilliant with client relations, and had been with me for 7 years. We sat in a booth at a diner 5 miles from the office. I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest, I said. If I left Titan Core, would you consider coming with me? David didn't even hesitate. In a heartbeat. Marcus, everyone in the department is pissed about what happened. We all know you deserve that promotion. Watching that kid stumble around playing executive is a joke. I can't make any promises yet. But I'm working on something. How many others do you think would be interested? All of them, David said. Seriously, every single person in our department would follow you. You built that team. We're loyal to you, not to some corporation that screws over the people who actually do the work. That conversation was the turning point. I realized I didn't just have leverage. I had an army. Over the next 3 weeks, I had individual conversations with each member of my team. I was careful, never saying anything that could be construed as poaching while still employed. But I asked hypothetical questions. I gauged interest. And what I found was unanimous agreement. If I left and started something new, they were in. Meanwhile, I started working on the second phase of my plan. I began reaching out to contacts at competing firms, letting them know I might be available soon. I didn't actively job hunt. I had something better in mind. I reached out to 3 former colleagues who had left Titan Core years ago and started their own consulting firms. I took them to coffee, picked their brains about the business setup, client acquisition, operational costs. One of them, Jennifer Wu, had started her own business development consultancy 4 years ago. She was making 7 figures annually with a team of 8 people. The hardest part is getting those first clients, she told me over coffee in late May. But Marcus, you have something most people don't: established relationships. If you left Titan Core and took even 30% of your client relationships with you, you'd be profitable in 6 months. I went home that night and did the math. I had personal relationships with clients representing over $60 million in annual business. Not all of them would follow me, but even if a third did, that was $20 million. Enough to build something real. By June, I had made my decision. I wasn't going to quit and join a competitor. I was going to start my own firm and get Titan Core's business development department in the process. I would take every single employee, and I would take as many clients as would follow me. But I needed to be smart about it. Non-compete clauses could be enforced in Ohio under certain circumstances. I spent $3,000 of my own money consulting with an employment attorney who specialized in this exact scenario. She reviewed my contract and gave me the best news I could have hoped for. My non-compete had a fatal flaw. It prohibited me from working for direct competitors in the manufacturing sector, but said nothing about starting a business development consultancy that could serve multiple industries. It was poorly written, probably drafted by Titan Core's in-house counsel who didn't specialize in employment law. They can't touch you, my attorney said. As long as you don't directly solicit clients before you leave, you're golden. And even solicitation has a pretty high bar in Ohio. Reaching out after you've left to let clients know about your new venture? That's just business. I filed the paperwork for my LLC on June 15, 2024. Chin Strategic Partners. I kept it quiet, telling only Sarah and my attorney. I set up a business bank account, designed a website, and began drafting client proposals. I worked on this every night after Emma and Daniel went to bed, sometimes until 2 or 3 in the morning. Sarah supported me completely, even though she was scared about the financial risk. We have 3 months of expenses saved, I told her. If this doesn't work, I'll get a regular job. But Sarah, I have to try. I can't let them win. On July 1st, Brandon made his biggest mistake yet. We had a quarterly review meeting with our top 5 clients, a presentation I had specifically coached him on for 2 weeks. These clients represented $18 million in annual revenue. Brandon was supposed to present our strategic vision for the next fiscal year. I had prepared all the materials, walked him through every slide, and made him practice the presentation twice. He completely bombed it. He showed up 15 minutes late, clearly hungover from a Sunday barbecue he posted about on Instagram. He fumbled through the slides, couldn't answer basic questions about projected growth, and at one point actually said, "Well, Marcus handles all that detail stuff, so I'd have to get back to you." The clients were not impressed. After the meeting, one of them, Margaret Fitzgerald from Apex Automotive, pulled me aside. "Marcus, I'm going to be blunt with you. If you leave TitanCore, we're likely to follow you. That kid is a disaster, and we've been working with you for 6 years. Our relationship is with you, not with this company." "I appreciate that, Margaret. Can I ask you to keep that between us for now?" "Of course. But just know, you have our support whatever you decide to do." That conversation was repeated with 2 other clients over the next week. They were telling me, without me even having to ask, that their loyalty was to me personally. The corporate relationship with TitanCore was secondary. I decided it was time to make my move. On July 18, 2024, I called a secret meeting with my entire department. I told them I was inviting everyone to dinner at my house that Saturday, off the books, completely social. All 15 of them came. Sarah made lasagna and salad, and we set up the backyard with string lights and folding tables. After we ate and the kids were inside watching a movie, I stood up and addressed my team. "I want to thank you all for coming. I also want to be completely honest with you about why I asked you here. In exactly 2 weeks, on August 1st, I'm resigning from TitanCore. I'm starting my own business development consultancy, and I'm going to compete directly with them for clients. I can't legally ask you to quit your jobs, and I won't. But I want you to know that if any of you decide you want to join me, there's a place for you. I can't match your current salaries immediately, but I can offer equity stakes, and I can promise you that you'll be valued and respected in a way TitanCore clearly doesn't value any of us." The backyard was silent for a long moment. Then David Rodriguez stood up. "I'm in," he said. "I'll give my notice on the same day you do." Then Jennifer Park, one of my senior analysts, stood up. "Me too." One by one, all 15 members of my team stood up. Every single one of them committed to leaving TitanCore and joining my new firm. I had expected maybe half, hoped for 2/3. I got everyone. We spent the rest of that evening planning logistics. I explained the financial reality. I could only pay full salaries to about 6 people immediately based on my savings and business loans. The others would need to either work part-time initially or wait a few weeks until we closed our first contracts. Everyone was willing to make it work. Some had savings, some had working spouses, some were young and could crash with family for a bit. They believed in what we were building. On July 30th, I sent a calendar invitation to Richard Hastings for 9 a.m. on August 1st. Subject line: Marcus Chin important discussion. He accepted it without asking what it was about. That morning, I dressed in my best suit. I had printed out my resignation letter, professional and polite, giving 2 weeks' notice. I also had a list of every active client account, every pending proposal, and every piece of proprietary information I was contractually obligated to transfer during my exit. I wasn't going to give them any ammunition to claim I'd stolen trade secrets or violated my employment agreement. I walked into Richard's office at exactly 9 a.m. Brandon was there too, lounging in his usual chair. Richard looked up with a smile. "Marcus! Good morning. What can I do for you?" I placed my resignation letter on his desk. "I'm resigning from TitanCore Industries, effective 2 weeks from today. I've accepted an opportunity that's a better fit for my career goals." The smile vanished from Richard's face. He picked up the letter and read it, his expression darkening with each word. "You're quitting?" he said, as if he couldn't quite believe it. "After everything we've done for you? Everything you've done for me?" I couldn't help but laugh. "Richard, I built your business development department from nothing. I brought in over $40 million in new business. And when I was in line for a promotion I'd earned, you gave it to your unqualified nephew. So yes, I'm quitting. Brandon sat up straight, suddenly paying attention. Dude, you can't just leave. You have responsibilities here. I have a 2-week notice period, which I'm fulfilling in accordance with my employment contract. I'll spend that time documenting all active accounts and transitioning my work. After that, I'm done. Richard's face was turning red. You have a non-compete, Marcus. You can't just go work for a competitor. I'm not working for a competitor. I'm starting my own consultancy. And I've had my non-compete reviewed by a lawyer. It's not enforceable in this context. But you're welcome to have your legal team review it if you'd like. That's when I dropped the real bomb. Also, you should know that several members of my team have also resigned this morning. You'll be receiving their letters within the hour. Richard stood up from his chair. What are you talking about? Who else is quitting? I'm not at liberty to discuss other employees' career decisions. But you might want to check your email. I left his office and walked back to my desk. By 9:45 a.m., all 15 members of my department had submitted their resignation letters. By 10:30, Richard had called an emergency executive meeting. By 11 o'clock, Brandon was in my office, looking panicked. Marcus, come on, man. You can't do this. What am I supposed to do without you and the team? You're the vice president of operations now, Brandon. You'll figure it out. But I don't know how to do any of this stuff. My uncle gave me this job because... He stopped, realizing what he was about to admit. Because you're his nephew? I finished. Yeah, I know. That's the problem. You were given a position you didn't earn and can't handle. And now you're going to have to actually learn how to do the work. Over the next 2 weeks, Titan Core descended into absolute chaos. Richard tried to retain my team by offering raises, bonuses, and promotions. But he had fundamentally misunderstood why they were leaving. This wasn't about money. This was about respect, leadership, and being valued. They were leaving because they believed in what we were building together, and because they knew Richard would throw them under the bus the second it benefited him, just like he'd done to me. The company also tried to enforce non-competes against several of my team members. Their lawyers sent threatening letters, but my attorney fired back with responses showing that the non-competes were either poorly written or not applicable to the new business structure. Titan Core eventually backed off, probably realizing that a legal battle would be expensive and they'd likely lose. Meanwhile, I spent those 2 weeks doing something else Richard hadn't anticipated, having exit conversations with clients. These weren't solicitation calls. I was very careful about that. I was simply informing clients that I was leaving, thanking them for years of partnership, and letting them know I'd be starting my own firm. I didn't ask them to follow me. I didn't need to. They asked me, Marcus, please send me your new contact information the day you start your firm, said Margaret from Apex Automotive. We'll need to discuss transitioning our account. Send me a proposal for how you'd handle our business moving forward, said Tom Chun from Midwest Logistics. If the terms are reasonable, we're interested in moving with you. By the time my 2 weeks were up, I had tentative commitments from clients representing $23 million in annual business. Not all of them would ultimately follow through, but even a fraction of that would be enough to launch Chin's strategic partners successfully. If you enjoy stories of cold-blooded revenge and gripping plot twists, like this video and subscribe to the channel now. There are brand new unreleased stories here every day, each one more intense than the last. Chin Strategic Partners officially opened for business on August 15, 2024. We operated out of a co-working space initially, professional enough for client meetings but affordable enough that we weren't burning through cash on overhead. Of my 15 former team members, 8 came on board immediately at various salary levels. The other 7 joined within the next 6 weeks as we closed our first contracts and cash flow improved. The first month was terrifying. We had commitments and promises, but no signed contracts yet. I personally called every client who had expressed interest, and I sent professional proposals outlining our services, pricing, and value proposition. Our pricing was competitive, not cheaper than Titan Core, because I didn't want to compete on price, but structured to show clear ROI. By the end of August, we had signed our first 3 clients. By the end of September, we had 7. By the end of October, we had 8. By the end of November, we had 9. By the end of December, we had 10. By the end of January, we had 11. By the end of February, we had 12. By the end of March, we had 13. By the end of April, we had 14. By the end of May, we had 15. By the end of June, we had 16. By the end of July, we had 17. By the end of August, we had 7. By October, we had 12 major accounts, representing just over $19 million in annual business. We were profitable in month 3, which almost never happens with a startup. Meanwhile, Titan Core was imploding. Without an experienced business development team, they couldn't service their existing accounts properly. Brandon, left to actually manage operations, was drowning. I heard through the grapevine that he was working 80-hour weeks trying to figure out what I had made look easy. Several clients who hadn't immediately left with me started jumping ship 3 or 4 months later when they experienced Titan Core's deteriorating service quality. In November, I got a call from Jennifer Wu, my consultant friend who had helped me plan this whole thing. She had heard about what happened, and she had news. "Marcus, you're not going to believe this. Titan Core just posted a job listing for a vice president of operations. They're looking to replace Brandon." I looked up the posting. Sure enough, there it was. The position I should have had from the beginning was now open again, just 7 months after they'd given it to Brandon. According to my sources still inside the company, Richard had finally realized that his nephew was incompetent and was quietly moving him to a different, executive role that had no real responsibilities, basically a $150,000 a year allowance to keep him employed and keep family peace. But the damage was done. Titan Core's business development revenue had dropped by 62% in 6 months. They had lost their entire experienced team and a significant portion of their client base. The company's stock price, they were publicly traded, though small, had dropped 23% since August. Shareholders were furious. And Richard Hastings was reportedly under serious pressure from the board. In December, almost as a cruel joke of timing, I got an email from Richard's assistant. Richard wanted to have lunch with me. I almost deleted it, but curiosity got the better of me. I agreed to meet him at a restaurant downtown on December 18th. Richard looked like he'd aged 5 years in the last 6 months. He had bags under his eyes, and he'd lost weight. We sat down, and he didn't waste time with small talk. "Marcus, I made a mistake. A huge mistake. I'm here to ask if you'd consider coming back to Titan Core." I almost laughed. "You're offering me my old job back?" "No. I'm offering you the VP position. The one you should have had in the first place. We'll give you a $200,000 salary, equity options, whatever you need." "Richard, I'm making more than that now with my own firm." "Why would I come back?" "Because you built that department. You know Titan Core. And frankly, we need you. The board is breathing down my neck about the revenue losses. If we can't turn this around in Q1, I might be out as CEO." And there it was. The admission? He didn't care about me or about making things right. He cared about saving his own ass. "No," I said simply. "I'm not interested." "Marcus, be reasonable." "I am being reasonable. You had a chance to do right by me, and you chose nepotism and favoritism instead. You destroyed my trust and showed me exactly how little you valued my contributions. Now you're facing the consequences of that decision. I'm not going to bail you out." Richard's face hardened. "You know, what you did is pretty unethical. Taking an entire department with you, stealing our clients. I didn't steal anything, Richard. I left, and other employees independently decided to leave because you created a toxic work environment that didn't value talent. And I didn't steal clients. They chose to follow me because I provided better service. That's called the free market. Maybe if you promoted based on merit instead of family connections, none of this would have happened." I stood up from the table. "I hope things work out for you, Richard. But it won't be with my help." I walked out of that restaurant feeling better than I had in months. There was no guilt, no second guessing. I had made the right choice. As I'm writing this now in late October 2025, Chin Strategic Partners has been in business for 14 months. We have 23 full-time employees, including all 15 who left Titan Core with me plus 8 new hires. We represent clients across 6 states with annual business volume of $32 million. We just signed a lease on our own office space, a beautiful suite in downtown Cleveland with a view of Lake Erie. Next month, we're announcing a profit-sharing program for all employees, and the 8 original team members who came with me on day 1 are getting significant equity stakes. Titan Core, meanwhile, has continued to struggle. Their business development revenue is still down over 50% from where it was when I was there. Richard managed to keep his CEO position, but barely. Brandon is still technically employed there in some made-up role, but from what I hear, he mostly works remotely, and nobody takes him seriously. The VP of Operations position has been filled twice since Brandon left it. Both people quit within months because the department was so dysfunctional. Several former Titan Core clients have told me the same thing. We should have left with you from the beginning. 3 more made the switch in the last quarter alone. Last month, Sarah and I closed on the house in Shaker Heights. It's bigger than the one we were originally looking at. We could afford to upgrade. Emma loves her new school, and Daniel is thriving in kindergarten. Sarah cut her nursing hours down to just 2 shifts a week, and she's so much happier being home more with the kids. We take family vacations now. Real ones, where I actually unplug and don't check email constantly. I saw Brandon at a networking event a few weeks ago. He avoided eye contact with me the entire time, and he left early. I don't take any joy in his humiliation. He was just a stupid kid who accepted an opportunity his uncle handed him. But I do take satisfaction in the fact that actions have consequences. Richard learned that you can't treat talented people like they're disposable and expect them to stick around. Brandon learned that having a fancy title doesn't mean you can actually do the job. And I learned that sometimes the best revenge isn't sabotage or destruction, it's success. They gave my promotion to the CEO's nephew because they thought I had nowhere to go, nothing I could do about it. They thought I'd be grateful just to keep my job. They were wrong. I didn't just take my career back. I took their entire department, their best clients, and their reputation. I built something better, something based on merit and respect and actual talent. And every day, when I walk into my office and see my team, people who believed in me enough to risk their careers, I'm reminded that this wasn't just revenge. It was justice. The best part? I did it all completely legally, ethically, and professionally. I didn't violate any contracts or steal any trade secrets. I just exercised my right to leave a company that didn't value me and to start a business that did. And talented people chose to follow me because I had earned their loyalty. That's the lesson here. You can't buy loyalty. You can't mandate respect. You have to earn it through your actions, your integrity, and your leadership. Richard and Brandon never understood that. They thought titles and family connections were enough. They learned the hard way that they're not. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video and leave a comment telling me what you thought. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please subscribe and hit the notification bell to get alerts about new stories like this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.